Yeah, look at this. Look.
Done been the places I've been. Who can spend the grand that I spend? Do by 5 or 6 best friends, and you don't know now. That's off the chain like me. That a fuck thing like me. Oh, look off the thing like.
It is finally Black History Month. It's the shortest month of the year and the only time that I will accept Grand Rising as a morning time greeting. Instead of talking about Bayard, which is an amazing movie that everybody should see, or recapping the struggles of the 60s, we're talking to a living history maker in a show that we're calling Black Gay History Explained. And the show starts right now. What up, though? Grand Rising, kings and queens. Jay the Gentleman here. That's at JAI the Gentleman on IG and Facebook. I'm wearing my Ankara dashiki print. We're burning non-chopper incense, and I'm rooting for everybody Black. This is a new episode of Dear Black Gay Men Alive. This year, Team Dear Black Gay Men is focused on giving the girls their flowers while they can still smell them. All month long on our socials, we're celebrating men, women, and non-binary folks who are making history every day. And one who may have had the most profound impact on my life is my guest tonight. He's the founder of Vision Cathedral of Atlanta, an author, an entrepreneur, a father, and a husband. Most call him Bishop. I just call him B. Please welcome my guest, my pastor, Bishop O.C. Allen III. Bishop, how are you?
I'm amazing. I am amazing, and I'm so proud of you. What?
I'm so excited to have you. This is so good. I got sound effects.
Yes.
Very excited because I got
Yes.
That's one of the biggest changes. You were the first guest that I had the first time that we did the live show, and so to have you back is really tremendous. It's really a big deal. Thank you for joining me. So we're going to be talking about all kind of crazy things in the culture, but before we start, I really was thinking that I was going to have wear like a dashiki print.
Ooh.
And then I realized that I'm African, so everything that I wear is African print.
Absolutely.
Like if I wear it, it's African print. So
absolutely.
I thought, I'll pass.
Okay.
But I mean, you repping the city, the great city, the jewel of the South, Atlanta, with the hat on. So I'm here for it.
ATL, yes.
It's funny because for everybody watching, like before we started, we had pulled the clip from the first time Bishop was on. He had on the same hat, so of course, what he do? He had to go change. Because
you didn't have to go into all that. But yeah, that is correct.
Are you ready for this, B?
I am. I mean, anytime I have a chance to talk to you, to talk to your audience, to talk to your people, for us to talk, I'm elevated.
You better drop it because you
heard it. You heard it.
You have a conference call. I elevate.
I elevate. Yes.
So I'm here for it. All right. Well, if that's the case, then let's get into the show. Let's get into the episode.
Yes.
B. So the reason why I wanted to have you on the show is because you are the founder of one of the largest affirming churches on the planet. How does that feel when you hear that sentence? What does that feel like?
What does that feel like? Insane. I mean, I don't even know what to make of that. And I feel so humbled, like to have been a part of and to be a part and to continue to be a part of a movement that is about cultural and spiritual change is, I mean, I really can't come up with the words to describe really how I feel other than just really overwhelmed, humbled, and almost feels like a bit of insanity. And then to have watched, well, I mean, I'm using that in a very colloquial way, but from the beginning at a time when the world was a very different place to now is astounding. And to really see cultural change and to be a part of it and to feel like we are a part of it and I'm a part of it is amazing.
Like, you do realize though that vision, to some degree, I'm not going to say vision is the only affirming space or the
It is not.
only, but it's a huge piece of the reason why we've had such progress for Black people that love the way we love. Do
Yeah.
you do does it is it does it resonate with you? Is the question that I'm saying, or is it just you being you?
Well, it's like when people are having conversations about a pioneer, you
Hmm.
know, we call people pioneers in hindsight. We call people heroes in hindsight. There was a statement that um, was really attributed to the late Bishop Carlton Pearson, who was my spiritual father, that the hero was always first the heretic. And
Hmm.
so, I don't know of anybody that is categorized as a pioneer or a forerunner or a hero that sees or saw themselves as that. If you are a literal pioneer going from the East Coast to the West in the 1800s, you
Hmm.
had some probably personal motivations for trying to get there. You weren't trying to, you may have been ultimately paving the way for people behind you, but you know, hell, you might have been just trying to get away from somewhere and
Hmm.
ended up doing that. It takes a while, I think, because I consider myself to be an abolitionist. It takes a while
You setting the
to
girls free, B.
to even know that that is what you're doing, because in the process, you're freeing yourself first, right? And so it's been a journey. When I hear that we've done the work that we've done, I'm humbled, and I think a little bit. I'm beginning to see it. I'm beginning to see it.
What are you beginning to see? Like when you say I'm beginning to see it, is it like because in my head, this is what I was, you know, contemplating when I was thinking about talking to you, is I'm thinking about, the movie Harriet,
Oh,
when
wow.
Cynthia Erivo, who played Harriet Tubman, was, by hook or by crook, she was trying to get the girls to. I'm using the girls in a very colloquial way, but she was trying to get the girls free.
Yeah,
And for a long time in that movie, she was depicted as a heretic, as a crazy
absolutely.
person. It cannot be done. It is impossible. And then a lot of the people she was working against were people that she was trying to free.
Absolutely.
And so I'm just like, I wonder what that feels like to have a vision for people to be their highest selves when they can't see it. What is that like?
um, it is profoundly complicated
I'd imagine.
because using Harriet as an example, as you just said, the very people working against her, more so than, the slave master or the oppressor, are the people that have bought into the oppression or that are controlled by a fear of leaving the oppression and trying to get people to see that even dying on the way to freedom is better than living in oppression. that it
That's
is
big.
it is better. Like, what do you value most? What do you value most? And it's complicated. What am I beginning to see? Many years we've been in this grind,
Hmm.
preaching, teaching, helping people, loving people, embracing people, being patient with people. And there were seasons early on that it just seemed like absolutely like there was this, like, what are we doing? What are
Hmm.
we doing? Especially in the early days when we were in the middle of so much hate, protests, hate mail, death threats, all of the stuff that really comes with the work. It comes with the work.
Now that
Uh,
don't come. Now that don't come with all the work. I ain't got no death threats.
Oh, well, maybe not physical death, but there's a level of hate that is so violent that it can feel like it's attempting to kill you or to
Yeah.
kill your dream, to kill what you're doing. So either way, these are threats that can really impact you. If I was a young pastor, I'm just trying to pastor a church. I knew what I was called to do and the demographic, but really, that was, very honest with you, there was no, I wasn't doing a lot of research on and data on serving the LGBTQI plus. It wasn't even that goddamn gay or homo or hetero. It was,
It was this or that.
I mean, very few people had, expanded their consciousness around gender and all that. And even early conversations, it was just really straightforward. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And it has been a lot. But the reward is great. The reward is great.
What I'm so like, before we started filming, was telling you, like, my mother, by the time she was my age, she had 3 kids. I do not have a frame of reference around what my life would have looked like with 3 babies, 3 mouths to feed, depending on me, right? Just the same, I am so bad. Like, it's very funny because you just celebrated a birthday. It's very weird that 20 years ago you started a church at 31. And now you are, 32, 20 years later. So it's very, it's very, so, and I'm just like, I could not have imagined at 31 saying, I'm gonna start this church for the gays.
Yeah. So, but I didn't.
And others. I don't want to make it seem like it's exclusively a gay church, but you know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
I do. I mean, I was called to this. When somebody calls you, you're not calling yourself. Somebody else calls you. Like, I didn't inspire the call. I didn't self-call myself. I was called. I didn't self-call. And I've been called to do what I've been called to do in all of its facets from birth. There were all these stories. I was my grandmother's protege to a certain degree, and she instilled everything in me with the expectation that I would be a pastor. And even when I left the church, quote unquote, even when I left my idea of Christianity, even when I left religion, quote unquote, I knew what I was called to do. I couldn't run from it, It's just, life was like, the story of Jonah and the whale. Life was the whale. Life was the whale. I can't escape it. I can't escape the call.
So I have a button right here that I normally press when people get all smart and they get, but it feels inappropriate to play it for you because you're a bishop. But I have a button that I would normally press right there since you brought up Jonah in the big fish.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's in the Bible. If you grew up in Sunday school, you heard the story. It's a story. But the point being, I couldn't get away. So if you brought it up, Jonah was trying to get away from what he was called by God to do. He got on a boat, was like, you know what? I'm good. I am good. I am so good. And I am really good. He gets on the boat. Like, long story, they throw him off the boat because they're like, you are messing up. I almost said something.
You almost said it. Because I've been thinking you was going to say it too. You almost said it.
You were messing up our stuff. That's what they said. That's what they said.
Yes.
They threw him off the boat and a big fish, swallowed him up for 3, kept him in the thing for 3 days and 3 nights.
There's so many things I wish I could say.
I know.
But we recording and we own the television.
We own the TV set.
We own the TV. I can't say it like I want to say it. There's so many things I want to say. It's
But most people know the story. that no matter what he did, he couldn't get away from what he was called to do.
Yes.
There it is.
And so to that end, what does the call feel like? Every time we're on here, I'm like, what does it feel like to hear because a lot of us really do believe that the call is, Yahweh and the burning bush and I am that I am with, all the things. What does the call feel? What did it feel like to you?
I do not know because literally, well, it's twofold. I feel like I have been called to my calling all of my life. So it's in my DNA. So I don't know what that initial thing was. I've always been drawn to spiritual things. I've always been drawn to philosophical ideas. I've always been drawn to religion and not singular and I've always been fascinated by the phenomenology of religion. Well, how do people believe? It's always been something fascinating. However, there have been defining moments in my life that really sharpening my ear to the call. That's really, sharpening how I heard it and sharpening my clarity around it.
And so now that your ear is sharp as hell, what did it sound like?
It sounded like no matter what, you are destined to do this. And if you don't do this, and I'll say what this is, if you don't do this, other people won't be able to do what they've been called to do. And so I kind of needed that because there were seasons in my life I didn't have any proof or evidence that I was called to it other than the feeling. Mm-hmm. This is going to sound contradictory because I think on one end, I always talk about not being so consumed with feelings. But on the other end, I do think that the divine uses feelings and emotions to speak to us. But it takes a degree of sharpening how you hear your feelings to really discern what is healthy and what is not. That just comes with life and growth.
Of course, I don't want to, this ain't no Bible study, so I'm going to say this and I'm going to back up off of it. But I do think that the call, like 10 years ago when I heard whatever it is I'm here to do, right? It didn't say, oh, Jay, you need to start a podcast.
Yes.
It just said, it was that thing that said, this is how the girl's going to get free.
Yes.
Like, I really do believe that a part of Dear Black Gay Men is to set the girls free.
Absolutely. And you're doing it.
If you feel like you in bondage, I want you to be able to come on Thursdays and get a little piece of freedom.
Absolutely.
And be authentic and yourself and unbridled. And now the call looks like, for me, it looks like a podcast, but I think that that's what calls are. Calls are your way of helping the other person get their calling.
Preach.
Like that is what I hear. That
yes.
I mean, I heard that from, this guy that I listen to on Sunday morning. So
yes, I know him.
I mean, I'll send you a link to his YouTube channel.
Please. Absolutely. Please.
I think that but I also would say that if we have not said so, I will say that this episode, I really wanted it to be our way of hopefully telling you that we appreciate everything that you do. Like, I know you, we talk regularly, and I hear about, all the, I'll repent to my pastor on Sunday, but I hear about all the shit you go through to be you and do what you do. And if nothing else, I want you to know that my hat is off to you, and we appreciate you. That ain't the end of the show, but I want to make sure we get that out. We love you. We appreciate you, B.
I love you
more. That's a perfect place to take a break.
I love you more.
Of course. So, teammates, we are here with Bishop O.C. Allen. I'm very, very excited to be talking to my pastor on our show, Dear Black Gay Men. Next week, though, we're doing a deep dive on a topic that all of us should know about, but not enough of us do. Set a reminder for 8 p.m. Thursday for a new episode of Dear Black Gay Men Live, and we will be right back. I think I lead a pretty normal life. I'm a podcaster and a content creator. I'm pursuing my passions. So many of us, Black gay people, either live with a reality or a fear of HIV. Any movement toward a future where HIV is less of a part of who we are, I don't know that I can think of anything more impactful to our culture. Hit the notification bell because we're going live.
Like that's the least of my worries. The size.
Oh, I think relationships are becoming more complex.
Tuesday and Thursday every week. Welcome to Dear Black Gay Men Live at 9 p.m. Eastern. Before the break, we had a bot in the comments. Kevy Kev, I appreciate you for letting us know. And I apologize if anybody was offended by their comments. They're gone, but all is well. Everything is under control. Welcome back to Dear Black Gay Men Live. If you're enjoying this content, subscribe to our Dear Black Gay Men on YouTube. Like the video and share it with share it with someone who needs a dopeness reminder. The podcast is still our short, bullshit-free step out of our comfort zone, and is new every Wednesday. Stream on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. The link to both is in the description. Now, let's get back into the show. B, are you there?
I am here.
So we're going to play a game. Now, we always play a game here on Dear Black Gay Men.
Oh, Lord.
We were racking our brain how to make this appropriate for the man of the cloth. So we're about to play a game that we call Real Roundup, the Black History Edition. Hit it. This game is for true Bishop O.C. Allen fans. This is how it's going to work, B. I'm going to say a quote. And you're going to tell me if this is something you said or something somebody else said. It's either Bishop or it ain't. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's see how well you know you. Let's see. Okay. The first one says, my motto is to live in the truth so you don't have to die in a lie. Who said that? You or
Me?
not? That one is definitely Bishop O.C. Allen. My motto is to live in the truth so you don't have to die in a lie. Now, I do want to clarify, though. Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? I was on an interview panel in D.C. I feel like this was either right before COVID, and I was talking to a very mixed political crowd, or politically mixed crowd. And she was asking me, the interviewer, she was asking me a bunch of questions. And I felt the need to go into this whole notion around truth and my truth. And that just kind of slipped out. This idea of
it just slipped out. You nuggets like that slip out.
Oh, I mean, the truth is, I feel I am at my best when I'm doing, like, having conversations like this, just talking, chilling, having a good time, talking about a range of issues. And much like you and other people, that's when wisdom and experience and insight and perspective kind of flows, and it just kind of flowed out. And I was also just a little anxious because of the crowd at the time. I was a little anxious about the crowd just because I knew that, there were a number of Republicans and moderates and all kinds of folks in the room that had some really interesting and intriguing thoughts about me. And so, I was there to talk about HIV and the church. And I didn't want to talk about that. I was brought to talk about it, but I didn't want to talk. I want to talk about living in your truth.
Yeah, I know you ain't. However the Spirit leads you, sometimes it's what's gonna come out.
This was gonna come out.
I get it. The next one says, "Thou shalt know that a change of plans does not mean a change of purpose." Bishop, or it ain't?
I think I said that.
Thou shalt know that a change of plans.
I don't know
does
about
not
the
mean a change
thou.
of purpose.
I don't know about the thou.
You actually did say, "Thou shalt know that a change
I
of
didn't
plans."
say the thou.
Yes, you did, and you said it on watch night. I know that one. I know that one. It's like I have watched your sermons about 4-5 times. I'm absolutely certain.
I know.
Okay, this one says the only real sin you can commit is to miss why you are here. It's either Bishop or it ain't. Is it? The only real sin you can commit is to miss why you are here. I think
I said that. And if I didn't, I said something pretty damn close to it.
Who said that?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I mean, you were reared in the way of Bishop Carlton Pearson.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You might not have said it, but I'm sure you believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my mantra.
All right, what about this one? This is, but remember this, you're strong because of your people, not in spite of them. You're strong because of your people, not in spite of them. It's either Bishop or it ain't.
It ain't.
Who said that?
Oh, Baba, Dr. Black.
Dr. Daniel Black said that one, and he might have said it at Vision.
Probably did. Probably did.
Those nuggets roll off of his tongue just the same.
Shout out to Dr. Black.
Shout out to Dr. Black. This one says you don't have to become something you are not to be better than you were. You don't have to become something you're not to be better than you were. It's either Bishop or it ain't.
I don't think I said that.
Who said that? Sidney Portier. Okay, we got one last one. It says, remind the saints of hope. Who said that? Remind the saints of hope.
Jesse Jackson.
Bishop or it ain't? Is it?
Bishop Carlton Pearson.
Bishop Carlton Pearson. That was our game. It's either Bishop or it ain't. That was our Bishop version.
That was good. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Of course. So now you did talk about something that I'm very curious about. Are there ever spaces that you go in that you're nervous to speak?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Really?
And particularly when I am overthinking. And I have, I've been speaking publicly 35 years. So I have learned to talk to myself, to master myself when I'm feeling
your emotions.
Yes. Plug to the first book that this great preacher wrote. Master your emotions.
Your emotions. Got it.
But yeah. And part of why I wrote that book was because I was working through anxiety and all of that and overthinking. And so I have, there are these moments I will overthink and I have to remember, I've had to teach myself to remember I'm there with a purpose and an assignment. I'm not there to always be loved or liked. I actually think we waste too much time on being accepted and loved and liked, but that's another conversation. But there are these moments that I have had to wrestle with the anxiety of my own personal expectation rather than being fully present and leaning into the moment and knowing that I have everything that I need to be what I'm supposed to be in that moment, on that stage, behind that mic, in that space, in that room, and that God is using me to be a part of a much larger plan and that it's not about me.
So, I mean, you said, but that's another conversation. But of course, I want to touch on that. Like, why do you think we spend too much time looking for acceptance? Why? I mean,
Because the
you're the
only
pastor of an
yeah,
accepting, affirming church. It would stand to reason that you want people to feel that, and
yeah, but
and it matters.
but I don't use the term an accepting church. I don't use that because it's redundant. Church and acceptance is the same word.
Okay, but
That's
then
like saying like an accepting acceptance. That's what do you like a church? Let me back up. My fundamental philosophy and understanding and perspective of a Christ consciousness space or Christ conscious space, a church, an institution built on the teachings of Jesus, is that it is automatically accepting.
okay,
It's absolutely.
okay.
Galatians 3:28 says in the Bible,
Oh,
there is
I
no
mean,
Jew, there's no Greek, there's no male, there's no female, we are all one in Christ. There it is. No more questions. No more like let's move on. If you don't feel accepted, that's because of people's perspective. But back to the question of I I just believe we waste too much time trying to be accepted when the only one that you need to be concerned about in terms of acceptance is you.
but there to a degree. I mean, of course, I agree. Of course, I agree, saying that patently. But in addition to that, we human beings are communal beings. We are intended to live our life in connection with others. It would
Absolutely.
stand to reason that if, for instance, that is in our DNA, in our
Yeah.
species core, then it seems to me that we should seek out spaces where we are
I didn't say you
accepted.
shouldn't seek it out. I said we waste too much time.
Okay.
We
Help
waste a
me
lot of
understand that. Help
time.
me understand the distinction.
Well, we waste a lot of time and a lot of energy looking for acceptance more than our own self acceptance. I fundamentally believe that. Um, I do think that it is appropriate to look for your tribe, find your
Okay.
tribe. Yeah, find your tribe. But to be consumed by needing acceptance can move into levels of dysfunction, can move into levels of um, not being true to yourself. Because there are some people to get their acceptance, there are things that you have to change about yourself, the things that you have to do that may not be consistent with your core truth, with your true identity. Um, all because you're trying to get love, validation, acceptance from people. I do think you get to a space in life where you need to find your tribe, you need to find your community, find your space. Those are the people that hold you accountable, but also love you and accept you and embrace you. As it relates to the church, I believe that a church that um, denies the divinity and dignity of anyone um, has betrayed the word church, has betrayed the idea of church. It doesn't even stand to be that. I've said this many times. If you don't accept everybody as a church, you're not a church.
Hmm.
It's impossible to be a church. You're not a church. You may think you are, but you're not. According to how I interpret what I just read, what I just quoted,
Hmm.
Galatians 3. And there's so many other things I think scripturally that back up what I'm saying in terms of acceptance.
Okay. So because I don't want because I do believe that the church conversation that is a conversation for a different day. We have had it privately, and we'll leave it there because I tend to get a little rambunctious when I talk about church. But I do have a question about individual acceptance. You said you talked about seeking acceptance could encourage people to violate their core truths. Do you think that we understand what our core truths are as individuals?
No, I don't believe that we understand that. I think that's why I believe a vision church or these affirming spaces are so important, um, to help people see what their core identity is, which, again, from a spiritual perspective, is a spiritual perspective. We
Mhm.
are spirits. We're having a human experience, but we are totally divine. And I think a healthy and whole environment, um, helps to bring emphasis to that, helps to unpack that, helps to bring a degree of self-awareness so that you can begin to understand who you really are at your core, what your
Mhm.
real identity is. Um, that's why it's important to be a part of a place like Vision Cathedral of Atlanta. Give a plug to my church.
I appreciate I appreciate the I am a
But
tithe paying member, so
it's no different than what Dear Black Gay Man does. Like, part of what you do by having these conversations, you set up. Good.
because I'm
part
like,
part of what you do is to help people understand who they are. Help Black gay men know who they are. And
yeah.
once you begin to know that and begin to value that, then you can understand how to receive love, how to heal, how to be love, how to have healthy relationships, how to be focused on the things that are most important. That level of self-awareness comes from your environment wholeheartedly.
You know, the interesting thing that reminds me of when I was getting ready for our first conversation on the show. And I told several people, oh, I'm talking to the bishop. And, I got this big in my head. It's like talking to Oprah or Tyler Perry or, huge to me. But I told several people and they were like, oh, you don't want to talk to him because they're going to think that like you have a show about Jesus. And in my head, I was like, first, clearly we're not talking about the same person. Like I said, OC Allen, like OC Allen that wear the snapbacks, like the
Yes,
one with the tattoos. You what? Who? But then also, what I realized is that people have this very slanted definition of what they think a pastor is.
absolutely.
How have you? How difficult is it to be so out of the box when it comes to like the big hat that you wear, being a pastor?
That's such a complicated and big question. I think most of my answer would be it's not difficult because I am me and I'm going to be me and I'm going to exist as me. I have to be me.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not me, it won't happen. My existence won't matter. So I have
Mhm.
to be fully me. Um, and I love being me. I'm not, and this goes back to what I was just saying. I'm not overly consumed with how people even interpret that. That's not my business. That's not my focus.
Mhm.
I am not consumed with that. It is intriguing that I do have to live in the shadows of so many complicated perspectives around what it is to be pastor when really I'm just striving to be a man of faith. And I think everybody should be a person of faith. I'm just trying to be a person of faith. I'm
Mhm.
trying to accomplish my goals and my calling just like everybody else should, whether they are not. Um, we all have something that is striving. That's all I'm trying to do. Now I'm going to do it in my skin. I'm going to do it in my truth. I'm going to do it
And your snapback.
in my snapback. I love tattoos. I'm going to wear tattoo. It's what I'm going to do. And I've never made apologies for it. I've never had many conversations about it. I think it's a
You,
waste of time.
you know what I just heard? I just heard or saw that I think that the reason why so many of us, myself, I'm talking about me, why I was consumed by acceptance is because I wanted people to accept titles. I wanted people to accept what it means to be a Black gay man. I wanted people to accept, me as a Black person. But I was distracted from the idea that I don't really care if anybody accepts me, the actual version of me.
Absolutely.
And all of those titles are smaller than me. And if I can focus on just being myself, as you have said, then acceptance.
No one has to care but
Who
you.
cares?
No one has to. And guess what? Most people won't care. No matter what you do, no matter how you change yourself, no matter what you say, no matter how you try to change what you say, how you say it, no matter your behaviors, no matter how you try to fit in a box or not, never forget, we live in that dash between that date that you're born and that date that you move on to the next level. Like, that's you in that dash. And to waste a little dash on what somebody wants you to do or be, or how people want you to be, is a mismanagement of this awesome thing that we have called life. And so that's why I spend, or I try to spend, every waking moment of my life trying to help particularly Black people, particularly LGBTQI plus people, to understand how amazing they are, how fantastic they are, how brilliant they are, and that it really doesn't matter who cares. Like the system, all the systems around us were not designed for our success, but it doesn't matter when you know that your success doesn't have to be defined by a system, that you are the damn system, that you are the table, you're the chair, you're everything. Then it doesn't matter. That's why I'm saying, to waste so much time on who cares betrays your divinity.
Damn, that was so good. I wish I could end the show right there. I can't.
Don't betray. But this is the point. Like,
that was so good.
We spend most of our lives betraying ourselves because we want people to care and we think that people will care. And the truth of the matter is, the longer you live, you find that there are a few people that care, but the vast majority of people aren't supposed to care and don't have to care. That's the thing. That's the thing that I think trips us up. That it's not, again, let me back up, because people, I'm not saying that people won't care. There are people that are going to care. Absolutely. But the fact that people have to care to us is what I'm trying to get at.
It's
the necessity.
It's part of self-sabotage.
There it is.
We'll talk about that after the break, because that was so fucking. I was about to cuss. I can't. let me back up. Okay, everybody, we learn from. The past is our experience. The present is our experiment, and the future is our expectation. Black gay history is us using our experiences and our experiments to achieve our expectations. We learn from the past, live in the present to create our future. This is Black Gay History Explained. We'll be right back. The bottom said this.
I've had it with these I know my body ass bitches.
How to control your actions.
And the top said
I don't know
this.
how to give subpar penis.
Not mean that you can fuck
It's
me.
tops versus bottoms. Let's get ready to rumble.
This idea that tops are boring, trash.
Torian, Ian, Seth, McQuan, Craig.
This shit is some style.
Get your tickets now.
I am so excited about that show. Y'all gonna have to bear with me for the rest of the show, because I just got to thinking about the Saturday is gonna be big. Saturday. I hope y'all got y'all tickets. But the easiest way to support Dear Black Gay Men is to subscribe on YouTube. Turn on the notifications so you never miss a post or a live show. If you really love us, you can send a thanks of any monetary value. Your support allows us to keep this kind of content coming every single week on YouTube. Under this live or any of our content, you can click the Send Thanks button, select a monetary value that you're comfortable with, and then click Buy and Send. Your one-time gift goes straight to the channel and helps us keep the conversation going. You can also join the channel. The link is in the description. As a monthly subscriber, you can join the after party. You can get exclusive content, get early access to merch and events, and so much more. Dear Black Gay Men is growing faster than any of us could have ever imagined, and I'm really, really excited to be on this ride with each of you. Now, let's get back into the show. B.
Hey.
So, you are adding another title to your CV. You are now a 2-time author.
Yes.
Your new book is The Success Code.
The Success Code.
You said it's a 31-day journey toward a 31-day self-sabotage detox.
Yes.
Why was that important to be a topic for book number 2?
Well, I think first of all, at the core, I believe that there's so many things that we need to detox ourselves from in order to move forward, in order to have the success that we want, Success Code, in order to have the freedom that we want, in order to have the relationships, and the wholeness, and the health, and the healing, and all of the mental clarity we want. And there are some basic principles that I think that I've taught, that I've learned, that I've experienced, that I wanted to share with the world. So I wrote the Success Code that has 31 days of focus and exercises and principles and stories and all kinds of things that I believe can help to move people to a completely new level of consciousness and self-awareness.
You know, so on the podcast that comes out Wednesdays, Dear Black Gay Men podcast, I talk a lot about vulnerability, and what the feedback that I get from so many of us is that it is a vulnerable place to want something. It's a vulnerable place to want a person or be attracted to someone. It's a vulnerable place to want to have a dream or a vision. It's a vulnerable place to want success, because you got to put yourself out there on some level somehow.
Absolutely.
How do we overcome the vulnerability so that we can get to the journey towards success?
Yeah, I don't think that we should overcome vulnerability. As a matter of fact, I believe we should lean into vulnerability. Love, success, relationships, healing, health require vulnerability, openness, and a degree of risk. You're not going to get anywhere without the risk of opening up your heart. But I think the challenge is I think part of the question is we have to work through the traumas, not avoid them, not run from them, not even be afraid of them, but to unpack it, confront it, talk about it, find a safe space, a safe person to be vulnerable with, so that you can have the level of vulnerability that I think is needed to have success in every area of your life. It requires you to lay down your weapons, to tear down the wall, to break down all the barriers and boundaries that we put up around ourselves to protect ourselves. Because most oftentimes when we think we're protecting ourselves, we're really imprisoning ourselves. We're in a jail, we're in a prison while we're sitting there thinking we're protecting ourselves from being hurt. Love requires vulnerability in a way that might mean you might get hurt. But being present, I think, is the most important thing you can do to experience life. Again, this dash I don't want to underestimate this notion of the dash.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have very long in this particular expression of what we call life here. It's not long. It's not that long. And so either you can hide behind the prison of the traumas and the pain and the past and the hurts and your exes and what somebody did and your family and all that stuff. You can hide behind it and try to protect yourself and never move forward. Or you can break it all down and say, I'm going to be open and vulnerable to life. And that might mean I might fall, I might get hurt. Somebody may betray my trust in this experience, but I will have experienced life. And I would rather, as I get to the sunset of life, be able to say, you know what, I lived, than to lay there or sit there with nothing but regrets.
Yeah, I think I ain't old, although I joke about it all the time. But the older that I get, the more I think about what someone would say at my funeral.
Yeah.
And I look back and I want to just people to say he did that. Like
Yes.
he did it.
Yes. I always say die empty. And the only way you can die empty, the only way is to lean into life. And life is gonna life. Life is gonna life. Life is gonna life. Life will life. And that will mean whatever it means. But be very present with it, right? That's what this success code hopefully will do through the principles, as everybody who watches this, of course, will need to get this book, right?
Yes, of course.
Of course. I mean, yes. But the whole point is to detox your life from all of the things that sabotage it, that sabotage your time. Procrastination, overthinking, lack of self-care.
Perfectionism.
You said what?
Perfectionism.
Perfectionism. Imposter syndrome. All of these things that I think we underestimate as the things that are sabotaging our money, our relationships, our health, our wealth, our time, our careers, our vision, all of it. And we are here to be totally dope. like
you speaking my language now.
To be like all of it without any reservation. That's the point of the success code.
I have so many followers, but we only got time for one. I will say, what is your version of success in this season of life? You've done so many things. We spent an hour talking about, all the amazing things that you have provided for us in our culture, that you have founded, that you've created. What does success look like? What are you striving toward now in this season?
Fully being present in my call, whatever that is. My calling has very many facets. I'm not just an entrepreneur, and I appreciate you saying one of the most important things is being a father and a husband. I have a family and learning how to be fully present. That's my wealth. My family is my wealth. You don't have to have kids everybody has, ain't nobody really broke. You have, it may just be your friends. That's your wealth. That's your money. That's your net worth. That's your worth. That's your value. That's all of it. And so I think success for me now is being able to be fully present with all of these facets in my life, all of them, to be fully present. I feel like early on in my success journey, I wasn't always present. There could be years that went by and I was working so hard trying to accomplish things that I just missed it. I didn't sit back and enjoy. Somebody asked me a long time ago, I had just started the foundation and they said, are you enjoying the journey? I was like, am I what? Who does that? Like, what is enjoy what? I didn't know you could enjoy this. And it was like thunder. Like, oh, I can actually enjoy this. Let me sit back and enjoy this.
You must. You
Yeah,
must.
but it takes a while to realize that that I can give myself permission
to enjoy
to enjoy this.
B, that was so good. That was so good. The success code, a 31-day self-sabotage detox, is available for pre-sale at ocallen.com/success code. It'll start shipping this spring, so get your copy now because it ain't going to be on the shelves forever. You
Yes,
can
sir.
visit ocallen.com for more information. B, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. We'll be right back.
Did you know that there are more than 38.4 million people living with HIV globally? Or that 13% of people who have HIV in the US don't know it? Did you know that there are HIV vaccine clinical trials throughout the US to find a vaccine that can stop HIV? Or that they need volunteers? Learn more about how you can help at helpendhiv.org.
I would like to thank my guest, Bishop O.C. Allen. You can connect with him on IG at Bishop O.C. Allen or subscribe to his YouTube channel where you can stream the Sunday service at Vision Cathedral of Atlanta. Links to his socials are in the description. 10 years ago, I had the idea to start a podcast. So I bought the perfect set of lights. I scouted the perfect location to shoot this podcast. I tried to find the perfect guest to talk to on the podcast, and I got paralyzed by perfection. When we sit back and watch the people that make history, like my guest tonight, they were the furthest thing from perfect when they started. I doubt Bishop preached the perfect sermon his first Sunday at Vision. I doubt Raheem Shabazz, for instance, made the perfect flick his first time on the OnlyFans. Or I doubt that Alex Newell, I'm sure, didn't sing the perfect song their first time behind the mic. Nobody was perfect, but they started anyway. If anything this conversation has taught me is that history isn't made by being perfect. History is made by starting, by having a vision and taking one step toward it every day. So, dear Black gay men, today is a great day to start making history. That was our show. I am Jay the Gentleman. That's at JAI the Gentleman on IG and Facebook. If this episode made you feel a little more dope, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Like the video and share it with someone who needs a dopeness reminder. Dear Black Gay Men podcast is new every Wednesday. You can stream it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And Dear Black Gay Men Live is new every Thursday. So follow at Dear Black Gay Men on socials so you never miss a thing. I am Jay the Gentleman. This has been Dear Black Gay Men Live, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.